All right, so explain Mussolini's rise to power in Italy. What political ideology did he create? So originated with him. Who were his followers, and how did he become Il Duce? There you go. There you go. So think about how he controlled his populations. Think about what were some of the issues and concerns for Italy right after World War One that led to his rise to power and gaining all this support. What did he promise to the people, and did he deliver? All right, the biggest thing here too is that he's already testing the Allied forces. He's already testing the League of Nations. See what they would do when he grows the military, right? When he imperializes lands in Africa, right? Especially with Ethiopia. Maybe they don't do too much. Anyway, I'll give you guys some time. Let you guys work on this. Did you? He sent an email or oh, that's probably why. It's all right. I'll look into my drive, okay? Thanks. I got it, Maddie. Thanks. Yep. All right. Okay. So Mussolini's rise to power. Where do we begin? Just like every other dictator, right? Where does it begin? Right after what conflict that we just talked about? Luna? Yeah, World War One. Good. So with Italy, what side did they start World War One on? Jason? Not the active powers, the central powers. All right, good. Yeah, so they were a part of that triple alliance at the start of the war with Germany, right, and Austria-Hungary. And then they jumped sides. So just about a year, maybe two into it, right? They jumped sides to the Allied forces. Right after the war, you think the victors would get something out of it, huh? Yeah, you would think. Well, Italy, did they get anything? No, right? They thought they were going to get land. They thought they were going to get territory, and that did not happen. So you gotta imagine, they were part of the big four, the four countries, right, four leaders that were negotiating Treaty of Versailles. And what was gonna happen after at the end of the conflict? They didn't get really what they wanted at all. All right, I heard a lot of historians talk about it, relating it to pizza, of course, right? So they were thinking that they're gonna get a whole pie of pizza and they only got one slice. So in other words, they weren't too happy. Anyway, we all know that this depression hits hard in Europe shortly after the war. Okay, and for Italy, they weren't getting any benefit, they weren't getting any help. So this led to a lot of unemployment, right? This led to their economy crashing. And well, their government really wasn't doing too much to help the people. All right, well, here comes Mussolini. Okay, so Mussolini, he decided to really attack this in a different direction, right? One that really no one's ever seen before. What political ideology did he create? What was this political ideology? It starts with him. Boss?
Please excuse the interruption. The students attending the flamenco ballet should report to the lobby at this time.
Wow. Hey, anybody? Brody, let's see your flamingo ballet. Come on, man. No? Okay, all right. Anyway, what was the, almost gave it away. What was the political ideology? Awesome. Fascism, good job. What does that mean? What is fascism? Where do you find it on the political spectrum? We'll talk about this. Cool. Patty. All the way on the right. Yeah, good job. Extreme, far right political ideology. Extremes, right? And why did he create this? What was he in fear of taking over Italy? As it was in a weakened state. Luna.
Communism.
Watch your language. But yes, communism. Good, good, good. So with that being said, right, one way to attack maybe a hostile, a chaotic political extremist party is to attack it on the very far end of the other spectrum, right? That's what Mussolini thought. Anyway, what did fascism embrace? What was this all about? Chase.
Nationalism,
Yes. And what is nationalism, sir?
love your own country.
Yeah, good job. Good. So extreme national pride, right? Where they want to try to embrace this emotion, this patriotism, right? And embrace it to try to bring it back to maybe what it once was. Anyway, for Mussolini, what did he focus on a lot? What empire did everybody strive to get back to that we've been talking about ever since the beginning of this course? Plan. Yeah, it's the Roman Empire. Good job. So Rome is right there in Italy, right? One thing to note about Italy is that it was divided up amongst a bunch of Italian-speaking states. By 1870, same as Germany, right? They unified, right, at the same time. So Italy's fairly young as a unified nation, but yeah, the Roman Empire, everybody remembers that. All right, so for Mussolini, he talked quite a bit about how he wanted to make a Rome 2.0. You saw it in his propaganda, right? Okay, so what were his followers? What were they called? Who were his followers? Ben.
Black shirts.
The black shirts, yes, good job. And they obviously heightened nationalism, right? They embraced this ideology that Mussolini brought forth, and people were very patriotic for it. Anyway, what did Mussolini promise to the people? What did he promise? What did he want to do for the Italian people? Which was different than what the other government was doing, right? Yeah.
Private property, like social security, private.
Yes, good, right? So when it came to getting people jobs, that's number one, right? So when it comes to private property, protecting it, again, you think about communism, that's gonna take it away. So he's like, hey, it's your property, you deserve it. And good. And when it comes to some social programs, which, yeah, social programs, he embraced some of those as well to try to heighten the country. He promised to build up a big military again, right? And he also said, hey, some of these territories that we just left lay during that age of imperialism, well, let's do it, right? Let's take them back. Let's grow our empire, right? Let's grow our country. So, yeah, he goes down to Africa, and what territory does he take? Which tests the League of Nations, Ben?
Ethiopia.
Yes, Ethiopia, good job. So I know I'm looking ahead there, but real quick, one of the biggest things here he did to gain power is what? What did he do? What was this march called? March on what? Luna?
March on Rome.
March on Rome, where 30,000 black shirts just taken. What did the king do? Did he just hand it over? Yeah, right. This coup happened like that, no problem. Really no aggression, no violence. And well, for Mussolini, he was given this role as prime minister. As look, we talk about Hitler as chancellor, right? Head of the government. And he never gave it back. Right? He served as El Duce, right? Leader. for about 20 years. So the end of World War II, towards the end. All right, we'll mention what happens to Mussolini at the end of World War II. His people turn on him, they string him up behind a car and drag him through the streets of Milan and hang him up by his feet and mutilate his body along with his wife. So this doesn't end too good for him. Do not look at pictures of that, okay? Anyway, so we'll mention about it. We'll mention about it. We'll get there. We'll get there. All right, so there's Mussolini in a nutshell. All right, so we did talk about too how a lot of these dictators hold on to power. Where do they target first? Where are we at right now? Huh? They target schools, public education. They utilize propaganda, especially with Mussolini. You want to focus on this Roman connection, right? They try to get Rome to win. The propaganda, right? When it comes to banning other political parties and ideologies, yep, get out. Control the newspaper, control the media. Well, there's only one party, one person in charge, and that's Mussolini and the black shirts. All right, so he gained his power pretty darn quick. All right, one thing too that he emphasized was the creation of transportation, roads, different highways as well. And yeah, trains, right? Trains. So railroads being created all throughout Italy to interconnect it. And that gave people a lot of jobs and pulled Italy out of this depression. So that's why a lot of people followed him and, well, thought he was just, I guess, a good guy. What else do we know about him? Did he have some charisma to him? Yeah, I know the video didn't really show too much, but if you guys get a chance, watch some old videos if you can. If you can, it's up to you. Maybe pictures about how he showed his masculinity when he was giving these speeches. Right, his chest was out, his chin was up in the air, he's screaming at the top of his lungs, and people loved it. Right, they thought he brought an energy that they've never seen before, especially into politics. So they gathered around him. All right, so there's Mussolini. Right, real quick, guys, to attach the assignment on Friday was this book here that I created. It's a book creator. You guys ever use this app? Book creator? Oh, you have? Oh, some of you? No? Okay. Well, anyway. So there it is for you guys to have access to. Hopefully it worked for you. I know Mrs. O'Neill said it did. But yeah, you moved to it, and this is a good study tool for you guys. I attached videos to it. I just gave you kind of basic understanding of the ideologies, right? As you can see here, we mentioned about Hitler and Mussolini. All right, we're going to talk about Stalin here next, but right, this is a good tool for you guys. Anyway, I'll look at it. I'd recommend studying using that. And real quick, we will talk about the political spectrum here shortly, probably on Thursday, because tomorrow we have career day. So we're going to kind of take a little bit of a brief break and we'll get back to it on Thursday. So you guys all have access to this in the Rise of Dictators assignment. Again, I would use this to study when we get closer to the test, closer to the exam. All right, here's your terms for today. All right, so we're at the Soviet Union. We got Joseph Stalin, the Great Purge, collectivization, gulags, and 5-year plans. Oh my, things are getting worse and worse and worse as we're looking at Europe after World War One. Bless you. Hey Chase, supposed to head down to Rups. Yeah, I don't know. Just go down there quick. Shouldn't take long, I don't think. Unless he messed something up on the news. No?
No.
All right. All right, guys. Hey, the Soviet Union. Just make sure you guys write down. If you want to put USSR, that's fine too. That's just another abbreviation for it. Okay. Anyway, with the Soviet Union, this is created right before World War One comes to an end. All right. We talked about that Russian Revolution. What was that guy's name that led this Bolshevik revolution? What was his name? Naomi, thank you.
Vladimir Lenin.
Yes, Vladimir Lenin. Good job. Good, good. And this is where we see the first communistic state. So I put that down right next to it. The first communistic state. Right? Marxist state, right? Okay, Joseph Stalin. Well, this wasn't his actual name. He changes his name because Stalin means man of steel. What? Sounds like a superhero, huh? Well, he was far from it. He killed millions and millions of people. Actually, killed more people than Hitler, believe it or not. Anyway, Joseph Stalin was actually from Georgia, not the state. Not the state, Brody. All right, this was like a Russian province. This was like a, now it's a country below Russia, but it's, well, kind of controlled by Russia. But anyway, he was an outsider in life. And he comes in, he joins the Bolshevik Party. He wasn't really much of a talker. He wasn't great when it came to communication, but this guy was literally a criminal, right? He would lead a lot of movements to rob banks to help fund the Bolshevik Party early on before this revolution. And as time went by, Vladimir Lenin saw his ability to organize, well, control people through propagandist means, and said, hey, you should join in the Bolshevik Party. And he does. He does. He gets the title as like a secretary in a way. So he kind of hires and he goes through means of filling positions for the Bolshevik Party. And this is where he fills just loyal followers for himself to lead his own power, his own means of power. All right, the Great Purge. So as we get into the 1920s and 30s, well, the Soviet Union's transitioning pretty heavily, right? It's a forced industrialization, meaning it just didn't happen normally like we saw in other countries, right? We talked about the Industrial Revolution, what? Early 1800s, moving through the mid to late 1800s. And in Great Britain, the United States, Germany, it happened okay. France, right? All these countries, it just happened. Obviously, we know some of the negative sides of it, but it just happened kind of, as a wave, right? A nice, easy wave. The Soviet Union did not happen that way. Stalin realized they're far behind. So he had to force industrialization on the people. And as he gained more power, people obviously kicked back against it because it was forcing a lot of people pretty much as slaves in their own land, right? Forcing people to grow as much crops as possible. And it's led to a lot of famine, a lot of death. But the Great Purge, real quick, was anybody that opposed him, see it, gone. You're going to the gulag, right? And it's not the war zone. You guys play war zone, Call of Duty war zone. Yeah, Eli? You dabbled with it, I'm sure, huh? Yeah. Dudes. All right. So with the gulags, these were like prison camps, political prison camps out in Siberia, right? Out in Siberia. So this frozen wasteland. So anyway. As you can see, the Great Purge, this killed over 700,000 people in a 2-year span. Anybody that opposed Stalin, dead. Dead. All right, so collectivization, real quick. It says it in the name. It says it in the name. Right? In other words, Stalin comes in because it's a communistic state now, right? And he collects all the private farmland, right? For the state. Okay, now these farmers here is like, hey, I need to grow, what is the market asking for, let's say, grain? Well, Stalin's like, don't matter, right? You're just gonna grow it and produce it for the state. We'll give you some compensation for it. You think that was a lot of money? Do you think they gave him a lot of money? The hell they did. They're like, grow as much as we'll give you here. And these farmers are sitting there thinking, I'm not making any cash off of this. Actually, I'm losing money. What's the point of continuing to do this? So do you think they're gonna grow food more and more? No, they're not. Right? This led to a lot of starvation, a lot of death. And guess what? Maybe that was forced because if you're starving, yeah, you might riot, but if you're going up against a power that's too strong for you, well, then chances are you're going to be obedient to it, right? Because they're the ones giving you food. You're going to listen to what they have to say, correct? Yeah, that's exactly what he wants. All right, gulags, like I said, are these political prison camps, right? And it happened way outside of here. So, as you're looking at the map here, I don't really have a great one. A world map would be better because Russia's so darn big. but way out, frozen waste. So, as you're looking at Europe here, it's like way out here. It's isolated, right? If you get out, well, you got a long ways to go to get to civilization. Chances are you're not gonna make it because it's like -30, -40 degrees in some places, right? You're out in the middle of nowhere. And you gotta worry about, well, wolves, bears, you name it. So chances are you're gonna die, right? Even if you escape. But they would force you to work in these gulags, right? To try to create a lot of these rail systems, right? Create roads and bridges and this forced labor, right? Within the Soviet Union to industrialize it. It was brutal. It was awful. And this is where Stalin gets one of these harsh numbers. So much so that after World War II, right, Russia's actually going to go through its own de-Stalinization. So yesterday we talked a little bit about the Hitler Youth and the denazification when we get to World War II and the ending of it. Well, Russia actually does the same thing because he was so brutal to his people. All right, 5-year plans. Thank God these historians just put out easy names for us to understand these terms, right? 5-year plan is just a goal, an objective that Stalin wants to accomplish in 5 years, okay? So this is where this industrialization takes place. He's looking at all the key cities in Russia and saying, hey, Moscow, Stalingrad, well, at the time Volgograd, but he names it after himself. Wow, right? All these key cities need to produce this much steel, produce this much military equipment. Right, after 5 years, we should have this much industrialization. Well, do you think it stopped after 5 years? No, it would continue on and on and on and on and on until, well, he would later die. And we get to 1950. So about 30 years, these 5-year plans were taken off. Right, so after 5 years, they just analyze and see exactly how far they went. Obviously, when we get to World War II, it's going to be put in hyperdrive as they need to try to compete with the Nazis here in this conflict. All right, so here we go. Here's Joseph Stalin. There he is. All right, there's Joseph Stalin. Like I mentioned, he's not even from Russia, right? Which is wild to imagine. And there's kind of a commonality here. I mean, you think of some of these now here, these strong leaders, right? I put in quotes here, right? These leaders that we obviously talk about today. A lot of them are not even from the country that they represent. Right? You think about Napoleon. Was he actually from France? No, he wasn't. Right? You think about Hitler. We just talked about him. Was he actually from Germany? No, he wasn't. Austria. Right now here, you think about Stalin. Right? He's actually from Georgia, which, yeah, is pretty darn close to Russia, but he wasn't technically a part of the Russian Empire. It's just something that goes along the lines where you have an outsider come in and energize the populace, energize the population, right? And yeah, there's a lot of truth to it. We've seen it all throughout history. We talked about it already. Anyway, Joseph Stalin, again, he wasn't much of a talker, but he joins the Bolshevik Party early on, right? Kind of right before World War I here, and he sees Vladimir Lenin's push for overthrowing the Russian Empire. Right, Russia was in a bad state. Right, let's face it. They lost the war to who? Who did they lose a war to before World War One? Austin, Japan, Yang Zhao. They were a laughingstock of all of Europe. And then they joined World War One, where people were starving, they were low on supplies and armaments, right? But they joined it because this might boost nationalism, right? You win, it's gonna do a good benefit, a good service to you. Well, did they finish the war? Did they? No, they did not. They went through a Russian Revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution, right? And this is where Lenin comes in and obviously takes the reins, takes power, and turns Russia into the Soviet Union, right? The USSR, the first communistic state. All right, where does Stalin fall into it? Like I said, he was like a criminal, right? He wasn't much of a talker, no, but he led a lot of robberies, bank robberies to try to fund the Bolshevik Party and what they needed to accomplish when it came to getting armament. So was he somewhat of a, I don't know, troublemaker? Yes. Was he okay, I don't want to say the word, but yes, he was. He was a bad man. All right, but anyway, Stalin was this force here within the Bolshevik Party. Anyway, this really didn't lead to what he was expecting at first. I mean, yeah, he gained a lot of roles here with Lenin, but there was a rivalry between him and another guy named Trotsky, right? These two are kind of leading this means of controlling the party after Vladimir Lenin dies. And guess what? Vladimir Lenin dies right around the early 1920s, 1921. So just shortly after World War I ends, Lenin's dead. Oh, so who's gonna take the reins? Well, Stalin, because he was appointing the Bolshevik Party members, he was making sure they were loyal to him, right? No one else, no one else. Even though they're part of the same party, he was already leading somewhat of a mini coup inside this party, right? So they're all loyal to him. And then Trotsky had to flee because he realized if he stuck around, he's gonna be dead, right? Because these two are kind of feuding for the power, feuding for who's gonna accomplish the strength. Stalin wanted to try to make the Soviet Union into a world power. Trotsky wanted to try to spread communism all around the world. So their ideology is just a little different, okay? Anyway, Trotsky flees to Mexico. Guess what? Mexico. And they find him dead with an ice pick into his eye, dead. In Mexico, an ice pick? Doesn't make any sense. All right, anyway. So don't mess with Stalin is what I'm saying. Right, so what happens then? Well, Stalin goes through this collectivization process as he becomes the dictator, right, the leader of the Soviet Union. Right, he collects all the farmland, he tries to produce as much food as possible, to try to solve some of these issues of starvation. Did it get better? No, not really, no. But 5-year plans, so this forced industrialization. Again, the Soviet Union was far, far behind when you compare to other Western countries, the United States, right? They weren't industrialized, so you gotta force it onto the people. And this is where many, many people died, many people. Right, and again, if you were going up against them, well, these gulags were set just for these political prisoners. It would send them way out to Siberia, force them to work and try to industrialize the Soviet Union. Right, biggest thing here is try to connect the one side here where a lot of the population was, right, especially when it comes to European influence, all the way out to the Pacific. Right, so they will create this trans-Siberian railway system. Not saying orchestra, okay. So anyway, with Stalin, he does accomplish, I know, hey, put in quotes, accomplish the Soviet Union to become a superpower by the end of World War II. Right, meaning that they will have influence to spread everywhere else, right? They will become a strong military. They will have and obtain a nuclear weapon, right? That will rival, obviously, the United States after World War II. So, did he kill a lot of people? Did he imprison a lot of people? Did he use the media to control the masses? Yes, he did. Right? Did he accomplish becoming the Soviet Union into a superpower? Yes, but it was a heavy, heavy cost, right? Because of this forced industrialization, because of its collectivization. Like I said, the Great Purge, yeah, killed many, many people that opposed communism, right? And forced them out into the gulags of Siberia. Here's a good look. So, right, out here is where we see Siberia. Right, where it's really frozen over. These prison camps were brutal. They're awful. And again, a lot of people. All right, hey, is there any questions? Any questions? Stalin, what does his name mean again? He gave himself this name, Jason. Man of Steel. He's not Superman. I'm telling you that. No. All right, so like I said, after World War II, there will be an effort to try to de-Stalinize Russia because, well, he was so brutal to his own people. But yeah, I guess he kind of accomplished them to become an industrial power, superpower, but it was at a heavy, heavy cost. All right, there you go. Is there any questions? Joseph Stalin? We good? All right.